Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. And as you may know, I'm doing a Kali Linux tutorial, which I'm going to try to review all the tools that are available and install in Kali Linux. Now, I'm going to take a different approach when I'm doing these tutorials. And what I mean by that is that instead of doing a video for each tool that we're going to review on this tutorial, I'm going to simply review all the tools within a given category. Now for this tutorial or this video today, we're going to look at live host identification. So that means that we're going to look at the following tools, which in this case is arping, fping, hping3, masscan, and thcping6. Now we're going to review all these 5 tools. Now personally, I do not use these tools for gathering information about live hosts, and instead I use another tool, which we're going to cover that tool in a later video. And I'm assuming that you're wondering, why am I going to review these videos if I'm not using them? Well, the reason is that it's best practice and it's recommended to be familiar with one or more tools. And that is because every tool has a different approach as to gathering information, and in this case we're talking about live host on a given network, so it is best to be familiar with other tools other than the one that you normally use. And now, before we get down to business, why it is so important to know these type of tools. In this case, we're talking about the information gathering and the live host identification, and it's simple and really straightforward. And the reason why is obviously we want to identify what hosts on the network are currently live, meaning that they are currently residing on the network and they have an IP address assigned to them. Because otherwise, if we can't find devices on the network, then how are we going to proceed with doing a penetration testing, right? So that is the importance of gathering all these information and know which hosts are live on the network. And just very quick, on a side note, for each of these tools that we're going to review, some of them, they do require elevated access or privileged access. And in this case, I'm talking about the root access, the root user. So what we're going to do here is that every time we select one of these tools to review it, we're going to simply switch over to the root user. So just keep that in mind. So let's get started. First of all, obviously what you need to do is power up your Kali Linux. And if you don't, go ahead and do so. And what you're going to do is that you're going to click on the menu, which is on your top left corner, go over to the information gathering, and over to your right, you're going to expand the live host identification. And lastly, what you're going to do is click on the first tool, which is the arping. And like I said, for some of these tools, you're going to require sudo access, root access. Now in this case, it's prompting you to give the sudo password. So go ahead and provide the password so that the tool can be executed properly. And what you see next here on your screen, which is your terminal, you're going to see the usage of this tool, which is arping. Now the only downside that I see about this tool, that I have briefly reviewed it before I made this tutorial, is that you cannot do a host identification on a range of IP addresses. So in this case, you're gonna have to do a live host identification for each IP on that network, which in my opinion, it's a huge downside because I don't really want to run this command or this tool for each of the IP addresses in that network, which if you do a /24, that means you're going to have to run this command 255 times. Now there's other methods that you can automate this process, but I'm not going to get into it, and because like I said before, there are other tools that have this capability. So let's go ahead and run a command or run this tool against an IP address that we know that it's live on the network. Now in my network, I know that 192.168.1.2 is live, so I'm simply going to issue the command sudo space arping space -c. Not to mention that you also have other options that you can include in this tool, so just keep that in mind. Now the -c means the number of requests that you're going to do against that host, which in this case I'm going to use 2. Now lastly, you're going to issue or type in the IP address. Don't forget to sudo because we do need elevated access, so please keep that in mind. And once you have your command ready, all you need to do at this point is hit enter. And after you hit enter, you're going to see that arping did 2 requests to that live host and got replies from it. So that means that that host is currently live. So again, the arping is really easy and really straightforward to do, and is to gather information about live host on a network. So that being said, let's go over to the next tool, which in this case, I'm talking about fping. So again, go over to the menu, click on the information gathering and expand the live host identification and click on that tool. Now just very quick, you guys, if you just interested in a particular tool that I'm going to review in this video, I'm going to leave links down in the description of the times where I start to review each of these tools. That way you can just click on the link and go right to the point in the video. And after clicking on the tool, what you're going to see is again the terminal, and you're going to see how you can use this tool, which is the usage, and you're also going to have options available, which in this case I'm talking about the probing options and the output options. So it's really and highly recommended that you go through these options to make sure that you include whatever you need as far as what you want to receive from the tool when it comes to identifying live hosts on the network. And right off the back, you guys, what this tool does that I like is that it takes the CIDR notation. And as you can see, we have that it has the capability of scanning a range of IP addresses. Now in this case, I'm going to include the /24 for my next command when reviewing this tool, and let's see what happens when we execute it. So once you have all the options that you want to include in your command to run this tool, go ahead and include the sudo. Don't forget to sudo at the beginning of this tool or this command. And what I'm going to use next is the following, which is sudo space fping space -a. And in this case, I wanted to show targets that are alive. And then I'm going to use the -g because I'm going to generate a list of IP addresses based on the CIDR notation, which is /24. Now, if you know how many hosts I'm going to be scanning with this CIDR notation, please comment down below. Now, once again, once you have all your options in place, all you need to do here is hit enter. So let's go ahead and do that. And since we're using sudo, what we're going to do is provide the sudo password for the Kali user. Now, let's go ahead and provide the password and let's see what happens this time. And the first thing that you're going to see after you execute this tool, you're going to see that certain IP addresses are going to start popping up. Now in this case, I'm talking about the 192.168.1.1 and .7.6.5.4 and so on. So all these hosts are currently live on the network that I'm currently in, or where my virtual machine is currently hosted. Now over to the bottom, you're going to see that there's some unreachable hosts that the tool did not get a reply back. So that means that those IP addresses are empty, meaning that there's no host assigned to it. So that is it for this tool. Again, it's really simple and easy to use, and overall, in my opinion, it's better than the previous tool, which I'm talking about arping. So now let's go ahead and check out the next tool, you guys. And before we continue, I'd like to thank all of you for watching my videos. For those that are currently subscribed to the channel, I appreciate you so much. So continue watching the videos. And if you know anybody that would like this content, please share it with them. And again, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so. And if you like this video, go ahead and drop a like. Let's get 1,000 likes on this video. So again, I really appreciate you guys. So let's go ahead and continue with the next tool, which is fping. So again, go over to the menu, hit the information gathering, expand the live host identification, and look for that tool. And all you have to do at that point is click on it. And like I mentioned previously, that some of these tools are going to require elevated access, so go ahead and provide your sudo password. So once you execute this tool using the sudo password, you're going to notice that there's a lot more options that are available for this tool. Now, the only option that is really cool, and I think it's really important to know, is that it has the capability, or has a feature that you can spoof your source address. That means that you can scan a host on a network and hide your real IP address. So that's one of the things that I think it's really important and it's really cool about this tool. And the option that I'm talking about is the -A, which in this case it says spoof source address. Now, one of the downside of this tool, just like the first tool that we reviewed, which in this case I'm talking about arping, is that you're not able to scan a range of IP addresses. And what does that mean is that you only able to scan a host at a time. Now, there is some other method that you can automate this type of process in order to scan a range of IP addresses, but this will require a little bit more advanced technique as using Linux commands, and you also need some loop commands. But we're going to skip this and save this technique for other video. So if you want to know more about these techniques, then I suggest that you should hit the bell so that you can get notified on future videos. And once more, once you have all the options that you're going to include in your command to run this tool, then we're ready to go. And in this case, I'm going to use sudo space fping3 space -c, which is the count of requests that I'm going to send to that host, which in this case, I'm only going to do one. And we're going to use the same live host that I know that is actually live on the network, which is the 192.168.1.2. Now, I'm going to include another option, which I mentioned, that I'm going to spoof the source address by using the -A option. And in this case, I'm going to spoof the address with 8.8.8.8. So once you have your command, all you need to do here is hit enter. And once you hit enter, you're going to see that either the host is going to reply to your request or not. But in this case, it looks like it did not reply to my request. And because of that, I have 100% packet loss. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to switch the host address. Instead of scanning the .2, I'm going to scan the .3. So let's go ahead and check it out and see if we can get a reply from the host. So I decided to run the command once more, and I even changed the position of the options that I included in the command, and I kept on getting 100% packet loss. Now lastly, I decided to exclude the spoofing address feature, and guess what happens? I got a reply from that live host. Now, can somebody tell me, why did this happen? Why did I get 100% packet loss when I tried to spoof my source address? And if you know, go ahead and please comment down below so that everyone else can understand why this happened. So as you can see, the last command that I issue against that target or that live host, I have 0% packet loss, meaning that I got a reply from that host. So that is it. That is pretty much it for this tool, which again, these tools are really simple to use and really straightforward. But if you have any issues, please leave a comment down below and I will make sure to respond and help you as much as I can. And the next tool that we're going to look at, it is masscan, which is very popular. Now, it is to be said that it's the fastest port scanner out there. That's even faster than Nmap. Now, there are videos and tutorials where some people have scanned the whole internet with this tool in approximately 5 minutes, which is really crazy. But you don't want to do that because you will get into some trouble with your ISP. So it's really important that you should know that. Don't be going out and scan the whole internet, because the ISP most likely going to reach out and say, hey, what are you doing? So while I was reviewing this tool, I noticed that you can't really ping scan a host in a network, and instead you need to use a port number. Now, I could be wrong, and if this is the case, please comment down below if you know how to do a ping scan with masscan, because I could not find the appropriate option to include in the masscan tool. So because of that, we're going to look at port scanning with this tool, which in this case, it's really simple. So let's get started. So once you click on the tool, and once you have the terminal open, you're going to see that the following information is available for masscan and what are the options that you can use in order to launch this tool. Now for this tutorial, I'm going to use a port scan, which I'm going to use port 80 to identify if I have any web servers in my network. In this case, I'm talking about the /24. What we're going to do is that we're going to issue that command. Don't forget to include the sudo, because we want to make sure that the tool runs properly and we get successful information. So let's go ahead and include that. Let's come up with our command that we're going to use. And lastly, let's hit enter. Now this is how my command looks. And in this case is sudo space masscan space 192.168.1.0/24. Now the following option is the port number, which is a -p. Now after that, you're going to issue the port numbers that you're going to be looking for when running this tool. Now in my case, I'm looking for port 80 and 443, which are usually used by web services. So once you have your command, all you need to do here is hit enter. And once you hit enter, depends on the network that you're currently scanning. You could have more hosts that have web services on, or you may have none. And in my case, I have a couple of them, which are currently the 192.168.1.1, which is probably my gateway, which is the web interface for my router. Now, I also have other web services installed on the 192.168.1.6. And again, I also have the port 443 running on that same host. Now again, masscan is really popular and it's a really great tool for you to scan a large number of IP addresses, and if you want to scan them in a short period of time. So that is it for this tool. It's really easy to use, and if you have any suggestions or any comments, again, leave those down below. Now the last tool that we're going to look at is the THC ping 6. So once again, go over to the menu, go over to the information gathering, expand the live host identification, and click on that tool. And once you do that, a terminal is going to open up and you're going to have the information as far as how to use this tool. But as far as I can tell, this tool is used to scan IPv6 addresses, and currently I do not have any in my network. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to use this tool on my network, and I'm not going to be able to demonstrate this tool in action because I don't have any. But again, nevertheless, this tool does the same thing as the other tools, but the only difference is that it's scanning IPv6 addresses instead of IPv4. So if by chance you are on a network where you currently have IPv6, then you can definitely use this tool. Now keep in mind that all these tools have options, meaning that you can include certain options to gather the information from those hosts. So that is it, you guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope you liked this video. And like I said, let's get 1,000 likes on this video, you guys. Please, let's get there. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. And if you want to get notified on future videos, I highly suggest that you should smack that bell. Now again, this is it for this tutorial. This is it for live host identification within the information gathering category. Now the next that we're going to be looking at is the network and port scanners, which are going to include the masscan again and my all-time favorite, Nmap. So make sure to subscribe and enable notifications, because the next video is going to be really important, so don't miss it. Again, thanks for watching. Don't change it, stay tuned, and I'll be right back. Thank you.